This is video number 2. Thank you for coming back in. So anyway, we were talking about pay in Arkansas. So let's see if we could wait on the others. So do you have a question on the pay or anything else? I mean, you can ask me. You don't ask them, but you can ask me anything. You know, so if you have Googled your school, I mean that school, you see all this information, make sure you also look at their mission, their vision, their, the previous board meetings that they have. It talks about the school. You can kind of have an idea of what the school is like, depending on what they said on the minutes of the agenda and all that of the monthly board meetings. They would go back for months. So you can kind of get that sense of what the school is like. And if you Google them, you could also see schools that have good reputation or not a good reputation. You could see, if they have lots of lawsuits, then maybe there's, something going on there, things like that. And also, I'll be honest with you, if you ask me about the school, I'd tell you what I have heard or show, share with you some links or whatever, but let you decide. I will never decide for you. I know we have a lot of teachers that were actually offered more than one job offer. I have one with 3 different job offers. And so she had to choose. And I said, she tried to give it to me. And I'm like, no, I could not choose for you. I want to, I sent her links of the school. And I said, okay, I want you to check this out yourself. And I want you to make your own conclusion, because I don't want you to tell me later, oh, I should have picked this other school. I want you to do your own research, and I want you to find out which one is the best fit for you. But some schools have a reputation of not being safe, so they find that when they do the research. And then at the end, this person chose the best one, I think. But anyway, so then when she chose already, then I said, yeah, I think I would have chosen that too. But I didn't tell her before that. I don't want to influence her choice. But they offered her 3 job offers. That's a really good problem to be in. Yeah, to have three schools trying to give you a job. And so with the J1 visa, and I mentioned it earlier that they are out of it right now. There's no more designated visa sponsors that would sponsor because it's out. And so now it's just H1B visa. And H1B is 2 to 6 months. But if you have a school that's willing to pay the extra $2,500, $2,500, I guess what is that? 125,000 pesos. Then you'll find out about your results within 2 to 3 weeks. But that doesn't mean that they're gonna approve it because you pay the $2,500. It doesn't have anything to do with it. But at least you know immediately if you're gonna be approved or not approved. And like the one that I'm helping right now with 11 teachers, 15 whenever they get done with it, they are going to pay for the premium processing because they want to know. And so which means that would actually be, the wait will not be as long. Like they said, 2 months to 6 months, theirs would be in the lower end of it, because they still have to do for the H1B visa, they have to do a labor certification showing that they are going to pay you what they would have paid a local person. And they have to show that you have the same benefits. They're not paying you cheaper. And also they have to prove that they have advertised the jobs and nobody applied. No local people had lost the opportunity to work because some foreign or international teachers took that job. Those are the things that they have to prove, that they have done all they could to advertise the job, and nobody was qualified more than this person we're hiring. And if you have your master's degree or especially doctorate degree like Dr. Elvin does, you can, you actually will not be part of the cap. There is a cap, the number of limit that they have. You'll be exempted from that cap. So there's 20,000 people that can come in without, you don't have to be counted on that limit. So you have this extra thing that they give you if you have your doctorate degree. So you might want to check on that. It's called H1B visa exemption, something. Yeah. You look for that, and then it will show you, what you need to do step by step. Everything you can Google, I swear. There's even like step-by-step processing on what you need. Step one, this is what you do for H-1B, because I had to do that for the school. They've never done it before. And instead of them using an agent, you don't need an agency if you're doing H-1B. You do need an agency if you have a J-1, but make sure that when you do use an agency, they have to be part of that designated visa sponsor that is given permission by the State Department, the US. Because if they're just a third party agency, they're not really helping you. You can do everything that they could by reading, because those visa sponsors that's on the list, they're the ones that could help you, because they could give you the DS 2019. That's what you need in order to get your interview at the embassy. So make sure that you get that, and it's on the website, the designated visa sponsor US. And then they have this 2-page list and the link to their website. And we've gone to every one of them, and they don't have any more slots available. So unless somebody had gotten denied and that slot gets open, that's the only thing. But for
Yes.
go ahead.
I have lucky because we're in your group, because I have friends who went to that consulting staff here in the Philippines, I think, and they have connections in the US, and then it's more than $1 million expenses that we need to prepare just for G1 visa, and even for H1B visa.
No, H1B,
So
you don't have.
I just left the group, and then I didn't show my face to them.
And if this is owned by a Filipino, I feel so bad, that they would treat our fellow Filipinos. Yeah, I mean, I feel so bad. That's why I said that, I'm not a lawyer. I would never pretend that I'm an immigration lawyer, because that's illegal to do that. I never pretend. All that I know is through researching it myself. That's all I know. I will never pretend that I'm a legal person. I was a pre-law student, but I didn't finish. But in order for you to legally advise somebody, you have to be working like a representative of a law firm, or you have to be a lawyer yourself. And I will never pretend to be that. And I would never do paperwork or whatever. I would just kind of send you to the right website, and then or send you the link to the form, and you follow directions. For the H-1B visa, you do not need anybody. We are teachers, we can read directions. Your sponsor is actually your host school, and they have to pay for the fees. That is part of the instructions. They have to pay for it, not you. Okay. So some school, go ahead.
During that meeting, they will tell you straightforward to your face that what you need is, let's say, 2,500, and then another 3,000, and a total of about more than $1 million, I think.
That's crazy.
Initially, like 800,000, and then I forgot the name of the staffing. We had a meeting last. My wife was just listening, and you would really know the amount directly. It will tell you how much you're going to prepare initially.
Do me a favor, and I want you to text or email me later the name, because I'd like to know more about them. My brother-in-law works for immigration, and so when I shared with him, this is my sister's husband in Dallas. So I shared with him that there are some people there that are really ripping people off. They're really cheating them of their hard-earned money. He said they should not be, other than doing like a processing fee that should be small, they should not be charging that much. Like, you should not be charging, like, with everything, it should not be more than $5,000 total.
Yes.
But if it's more than that, like, for example, the school that I'm helping, they contacted by one of these visa sponsors that the other existing teachers used, and they were cheated. They were going to pay $4,000, and then because they didn't have the money and they had to pay for it, it became $6,000, and they have to pay $500 a month for the whole year. So I said, you do not need them. I know they may be mad at me whenever they know about that, but you do not need them, because I can send you links and you follow directions, and there is nothing that they can do more than what we can do.
Yes.
There's no advantage of using them. There's no advantage of using a lawyer. The advantage is that you don't have to mess with it. They already give you everything, whatever. But they also charge you a lot. Like, instead of spending $6,000 per teacher, the school will have to spend $12,000. So then instead of the school saying, yes, I can do that, then they would say no, we can't afford it. You know, one of my on my list, one in my group, she was offered this job, and this agency then start talking to them, and they want 20% of what the teacher makes, and it's gonna be every year while the teacher is here. So essentially, they want 1/5 of what the teacher makes without doing anything. You know, they're just that's cheating. And so this the school, the district had to rescind the offer. They said we cannot do that because we can't afford that. And then we also do not want you to be ripped off by a company like that. If you already have signed a contract with them, we don't want to have anything to do with you. You know?
They would refer to you for, let's say you don't have the money, they would refer to you to a financing
bank thing.
Financing in Cebu and in Manila.
That's crazy.
They would give their contact number, their connections there.
Yeah, but the thing is, everybody's getting the cut. Everybody's cheating you.
That is
Somebody's
why.
cheating you, another person's cheating you, another person's cheating you. So they have 3 or 4 people cheating you. That's ridiculous. And that's why
I immediately left the meeting. I left.
Yeah, because that's why I feel like, you know, having been here 35 years and I've been in education for more than 30, I felt like I have the connections here, and I don't know why I need to charge. I will charge the school if they have me to come, but I'm not going to charge our own folks because we need the help. You know, we need to help each other instead of pushing somebody down. You know, but I'm sure that people are mad at me now. You know, those people that own agencies, I don't care. You can just find me, but that's how I feel about it. That we need to help our own people, not hurt them by charging them too much. But that's just me. That's just me. That's just Merlina talking. So, okay. So, Inium, sounds like you have experienced the interview, so you're not going to be nervous the next time. Has your wife, have you your interview too?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Well, see, this is what happens. If you send me your CV and your cover letter, application letter, I will include it to my list. And this is a Google Doc, so that anytime that I would change it, add to it, they have access to it. There's about close to 2,000 administrators in the state, just in Arkansas alone. And most of them, I guess I have name recognition. They know me or they know of me. You know, some of them, they don't know me, but they've heard of me. And in fact, my former boss, I used to work at the Department of Education, as I said. And so my former boss was Commissioner Key, and he is a friend on Facebook. I was so surprised. I was very pleasantly surprised that he actually accepted. So he's actually seeing everything we're posting there. You know, so he sent me a message yesterday and said, hey, Merlina, can you tell me more about visa processing, and do you know of a lot of Filipinos wanting to come? And I said, yeah, I have about more than 100 on my list. And so I sent him the list. I said, well, feel free to pass this on. And I said, if there are some schools that maybe their spam filter had filtered my email out, you know, feel free to email. You have my permission to just email it to whoever you want. You know, so anyway, so there you go. The big boss has my list too. So anyway, he knows my sister really well because they go to church together. He used to live like about 45 minutes away, and now he's 3 hours away. In the national, Little Rock is our capital. And that's one thing you should also know. If you're going to apply for a state, you're going to have to know the capital. You need to know what's in their town. Is there a tourist attraction there? Yeah, there's a town, like for example here, Pigot, that's in Hemingway. You know, Hemingway was here, Ernest Hemingway. And then there's in Missouri, there's a Mark Twain. You know, we went to Mark Twain's home, and they have a hotel there now. So my husband and I stayed there. That was kind of neat to be in you know, Mark Twain's place. But anyway, so you need to know those things because historical, you know, connections possibly, because they could ask you a question. What do you know about our place? What do you know about our school or about community? Well, you need to have some answer to that, because otherwise they like, well, okay, then you are not really that interested if you don't even know anything about us, you know. So if they ask you, do you have a question for us? You could ask about, what kind of PDs are available? Professional developments are available? Do you have any Filipino teachers there? How many? You know, and are they housing available there for, like, in that community? There's some support for Filipinos, you know, things like that you could ask, like you're really interested in knowing. Yes. You know, it's not all about money at all. So anyway,
maybe I'll be asking about teacher induction program.
Yeah, induction program, mentoring, retention, how do you
Mentoring.
retain teachers? Because the problem with this area, and they call them the Delta area, and this, if you look at the map of the United States, I'm gonna find one. I want to point it out where it is. Let me find a map of the USA, and then I want to share it with you so that you know what I'm talking about. Let me see. I'm pulling it. So in the map of the US, this is a map for sale, but it has a, is it gonna get big? It's a rug, hang on. Anyway, a map of the US would show you where Arkansas is. I want you to know it because you will see that we're not close to any ocean. So if you like any ocean, we have to drive like 10 hours.
Yes.
So if you like the ocean, you need to apply in Florida or California,
Florida.
Hawaii, those places.
Or US Virgin Islands.
Yeah,
Joke.
yeah, because Virgin Island for sure is an island. Because we have, I mean, I've missed the ocean because we have lakes and rivers and all that here. But to me, and they even put like white sand, but it's still, to me, it's not an ocean. To me, that doesn't count. My husband said, well, that's what they call here. And I said, I don't care. That's not what I think is ocean, as you know, a beach. They call them a beach also, but to me, it's a fake beach. So anyhow, it's left because it's not, to me, it's not real. But anyhow, let me see. I'm trying to get in. Let me see. Let me share this. Let me share this thing here. Share my screen. Okay. All right, let me get this thing here. Okay. See this map? I'm trying to get this to open. Any of this map like this. When our kids are younger, we have visited maybe 30 something out of the 50 states. We love to travel every summer, and we used to play license plate, a game, because then when, for example, when we go to when we went to Grand Canyon, we gave our kids like a map of the US, and then every time they see a license plate of a car that they would color it, so by the time our trip was finished, they've colored so many states because they're over there in a parking lot looking for, oh, I see California, I see Oregon, I see. They're so happy when they see a new state. So anyway, but that kind of makes it, makes them know what states are there that had traveled. And it's so funny when you talk to them, it's a bunch of teachers because they're off, and that's why they're traveling. And so it's kind of neat. Even in the hotel that we stay, I would talk to the people like in the swimming pool, whatever, with my kids are, and they were like, oh yeah, we all teach in whatever, in Washington. And I said, well, when do you start your school? And they said, well, in September. And I said, oh, in Arkansas, it's always in August. But in some states, they have to wait till Labor Day. And Labor Day is like the first week of September before they would open, which is, to me, smart. But here we have schools in Arkansas that opened 2 weeks ago. And some of their teachers, I think 4 or 5 of their teachers are still in the Philippines waiting for their visa, or all those stickers that you need, the OFW sticker and all this, resignation stickers. And they went ahead and taught online. So they taught online, and so they have pretty much, to me, that's baptism by fire, because they have to learn something quickly. Anyway, so here's the United States. Okay, it's big, and so there's 48 states are here, and then the 2 states are separated. So this is the Hawaii and Alaska. Of course, Alaska is the biggest, close to Russia, and but if you just say the contiguous or continental United States, this is the 48 states. The biggest will be Texas. And say, like, my sister lives in Texas, in Dallas, and I live right here in Arkansas, the green one right here. And
Yes.
So when I travel to Texas, I'll just go, either I can go Oklahoma and then down to Texas, or I can go like Little Rock here, and then I would just go to go south and then go to Texas. And then if I go all the way down south, it's Louisiana. So I'm surrounded by the states. I got Texas, Oklahoma here on the southwest part. I have Missouri on top, and then my place where I am right now is only 10 minutes from Missouri. You see this Missouri in yellow? I'm on the very top, like right here, close to the line. So I'm only 10 minutes to Missouri. I shop in Missouri. like 30 minutes later, I am in Missouri, and I could, they have better prices in some things. Like, for example, this weekend, they have Missouri and Arkansas have a tax-free weekend, which means that all the school supplies and clothing and computers are tax-free. You don't have to pay taxes, which is like a 10% savings, because taxes
Wow.
are close to 10%. So if you have $100 instead of 110, it's still just $100. So that's a pretty good deal. Most parents here or teachers, they would actually wait to shop till this weekend, because they could save a lot of money. And you don't have to be a teacher or whatever to get that tax-free thing. Everybody gets it. That's why they say it's, the whole state will have a tax-free weekend if you sell those kind of items. So anyway, so if you go to Florida, then it's right here, all the states here, and I call them MAG here, MAGs, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and then you end up in Florida, which is right here, the little handle here. And that's how much you have to travel. So that's a long way. So one time we were going on a cruise, and we were going to Miami, which is really like at the edge here. And it took us 24 hours to drive there. Yeah. So my husband and I was kind of crazy not to even, okay, welcome back, Helen. I was crazy not to I guess figure out how many hours. So we did it. We left like, instead of 2 days before, we left like the day before. So we were driving like crazy. Normally I would have spent the night halfway and then spend the night and then go. Not that, because we'll miss the cruise. So we had to drive like pretty much all night. And so anyway, so then by the time we got there, we had like an hour to spare in order to get aboard. But anyway, so that was a long drive. And so here's my son lives in Iowa, so Missouri and Iowa. So he had to travel when he comes home to see us. He had to travel the whole Missouri, and then he goes to Arkansas, to Iowa. And then our daughter was in Wisconsin before. This is the Great Lakes here. And then now she is in Hawaii. So she lives in Hawaii. And anyway, so I have a 32 years old and a 23-year-old. So they're big now. I wish they had children now, but anyway. So tell me about your kids. Do you have any kids? All of you? I know you have three. Was it Helen, right? And so Elvin, how many kids do you have, and wife? Can you hear me? Okay, I'm gonna quit sharing. Hang on. Do you have any question about this map? No? Okay. Stop share. All right. So somebody came in. Who came in? Helen is back, okay. And Dana, okay, it's still the same people. Okay, so what do you have any question about the states? Do you have any relatives in the state? That's one of the questions, by the way, that you will be asked. That do you have relatives in the US? Because they're trying to determine that, are you gonna be going back? So if you have for example, and the ladies that I have helped this year, there are 3 of them that are related, 2 in the same district. In fact, they're going to be staying in the same house. And then their niece is with Maria, so it's about 50 minutes away. So when they were asked that question, they were just honest. You cannot lie. You just say, yes, I do. And they're also in the J1 exchange program. So we are in the same boat. We're not like they live here and I'm gonna do TNT and I will stay, because some of them did, guys. See, the deal with J1, the deal with J1 visa is that you have 3 years, and then the 2 years, I told you that it's waived, the 2 years will be waived, so you actually have 5-year limit. With the H1B, when you have already taught under H1B for 6 years, you automatically process and get approved for the green card. And so you're talking 5 years and then 6 years. So and I mentioned earlier too that do not say that on your interview with the school, that I'm only going to stay 2 years, I'm only going to stay 3 years. Don't ever do that. Okay, because you want to sound long term, not short term. Yeah. And so are all of you members of the Facebook group already? All of you? That's how you. Yes. Dana, have I seen you there?
Yes, ma'am.
You are. Okay. Yeah, I wish you'd post though, because especially if you have pictures of your school and all that, because you have to remember, The only school I'm familiar with in the Philippines is the school that I went to in elementary. I went to elementary. I was in a public school, which was just next door to my house in Tipolo, Mandawi. And then I went to a private school in high school. And then I went to San Jose, which is like also a Catholic school, USJR, University of San Jose Recoletos. And then 87, I left. And then the other school that I got to is in Taguig, Manila. I got a job after I retired, I got a job in 2017. Or 18. I got a job to accredit this international school in Taguig. And I didn't realize that place there is so fancy. It got so like expensive places. And I felt safe there because there are like policemen everywhere. And the school that we went to, I guess a bunch of millionaires kids go there, and they were like really nice vehicles that were picking them up, and they were with nannies, and they were speaking English more than Tagalog. They actually asked them what courses or what subjects are they weak on, and they said, you won't believe it, but it's the Filipino language. And I'm like, really? They're Filipinos? They said, no, but their nannies are you're required to speak English to them starting when they're young. So when they grow up, they're actually deficient on our own native tongue. And that kind of surprised me. And I'm like, well, that's not good, because my kids here in America, they were born in America, and they were like, now that they're grown up, they said, Mom, you're a teacher. Why did you not make us bilingual? I messed up because I was so busy trying to educate myself that I never thought about, like making them bilingual. So my husband only speaks, English, but my mom lived here with us. My mom lived for 14 years with me. She's now has her own house 5 minutes away, but we could have done that if I really was purposeful about it. I didn't, but they understood some of the words, like, we're Cebuano, right? So one day my daughter was like carrying something. My mom was so afraid that it would spill, and she said, Mayabu, Mayabu, Mayabu. She was like saying this, it's gonna spill. And then Stephanie turned around and said, Grandma, I'm not gonna spill this. And I'm like, does she know what mayabu is, Mom? She said, oh, maybe she just got it from our concern that she was gonna spill something on the floor. But anyway, but they were picking up things, but what I did right is they are rice eaters. They have their own rice cooker, because everywhere they go, they eat rice. I mean, they are good cooks of Filipino foods, because when they went to college, they actually asked for recipes from us, from grandma, from aunts, and then they took it to college and they actually cooked for their friends. And so then they went to Italy, and both of them went to Italy as part of their scholarship, and they came back and went cooking Italian dishes. Got so fancy on us. And even the espresso coffee and all this, they just think that, we have this automatic, this Keurig machine. They just thought that's awful. That's awful coffee. You have to have that little espresso thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you just went to Italy and got fancy on us. But anyhow, so talking about that is culture. When you come here, you're talking about, and I was asking some of the teachers are coming. We have I think 2 or 3 today, and I think I have to meet 3 next week. Some schools, they have open houses, like this particular school that I'm helping. They have open house, which means nobody can leave because they have all their parents coming in. And so, Merlina, will you please, I will pay you, but will you please meet them? So I have to borrow my husband's truck because, can you imagine 3 people with all their luggage? They would not fit in my little Prius. And so I said, okay, I'm going to borrow my husband's truck, and I'm going to bring a tarp in case it rains, because we have to put all their luggage in the back of the truck. But luckily here, nobody steals it. You can just drive around with it and nobody's going to steal it. Nobody have to ride in the back or anything. But anyway, so I'm excited for them. And the school is wanting me to do an orientation. And so I've been trying to prepare, what the things that I've learned last year from visiting them, like what I learned. One of the major things I learned is that if you're not prepared, because they're still trying to learn the curriculum, that's when they got all kinds of behavior problems. The kids were pulling their phone, they were doing their cell phone, they were texting their friends, because you are not ready. They are still trying to learn, whatever. So the night before, you have to learn your lesson so that you can be smooth. You need to have the material ready, this and this. No time to waste, because when you have time, they will have time to misbehave. And so that's one thing that I noticed with the Filipino teachers that were successful in their classroom management are those that are organized and that were prepared. So that's a big one, because you will find that in this area where we are close to Mississippi, these are the the poorest in the state, and they are mostly our Black kids, some Latino, but it's mostly Black kids. And Filipinos, we blend in because we're all minorities. And in your classroom, you might have one white kid, one Caucasian kid, sometimes zero. And most of the teachers are your Black teachers. They're wonderful, wonderful people. You know, you don't say people because I said folks, because the word people had been associated with you people, you know, like putting people down. So usually they are allergic to the word you people, you know, so I would just say folks. So I would say, you know, those folks, yeah. So that's a better way to say that instead of the people, you know, there's like, you know, it's just, it's the connotation is now wrong because of people using it wrong. You know, those people, you know, you people, you know, those are not good things to say. So anyway, but the difference in the culture is that in their culture, there's a difference between the white and the Black culture. They call it Caucasian, which is the white, and then African American. So the African American culture and the Caucasian culture, the difference is that like if you go to church, like in my husband's church is white, and the quieter you are, the better the sermon. Okay. So, oh, the preacher did a good job because everybody's quiet and listening. But in the Black church, it's like, hallelujah, amen. You know, they were like, the louder they are, the better the sermon. So it's like a totally different culture. So here I am, you know, in the northeastern, you know, part of Arkansas. So I was teaching mostly white, right? And here, when I went to Little Rock, I was waiting for my job at the department. So I taught in Little Rock, and it's mostly Black kids. I was so shocked. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're not just being quiet like this. They're like, oh no, you know, they were just like, when they come in, they'll be, you know, they'd be dancing right there by the thing. And I'm like, you know, being so uptight because we're so used to people being behaved to us, that's behaving themselves. But to them, that's normal. So I have to get used to it. Okay, I'm just like, I cannot dance, but I'm just gonna join them. Like, hey, you know, I was just like trying to get to know them. So where did you learn that dance? You know, all this. So I would just like talk to them when they first come in my classroom. But at first it bothered me, because I'm like, oh, they should be quiet when they come in the classroom, but that's not their culture. So you have to be the one to adapt that it is not,
adapt and adjust.
Yeah, you have to be the one to adapt and adjust and learn that is pretty normal in their culture, and you don't have to worry about it. You don't stress over that. You just need to know that when you are starting your lesson, you have to be organized. Like I told Maria, you know, put your agenda, more of a bulleted thing of what you're going to do for that period. So they know what you're going to do. If you have 4 things to do, you put it in bullets like that. And when you get it done, you exit off, and then you go on to the next one. That helps them know that this is where, you know, these are the things that I need to accomplish. It's more like a goal setting, you know, for the day. So that, you know, and start with like a bell ringer, which is like a 5-minute activity, quiet activity, while you're trying to do your attendance. You should not ever call their names. Oh, so-and-so, so-and-so. That's wasting time. So what you need to do is put every period you have to have a table seating chart. And so all you have to do is looking at a seating chart who's missing, you know, that very easy to mark. And while they're doing their work, and they also in the morning, you also have to mark on the computer on who's eating and not eating, you know. So you can just quickly ask them, okay, raise your hand if you're going to be eating today, really quickly, you know, before they started. And 3 people, okay. Then just mark it, and then now they have to go back and do the 5-minute bell ringer that you gave them. It could be something like a question that you just want to ask them and tell them, I want a whole paragraph or about this, or, you know, so many sentences. That could be as easy as that. But then you need to look at it, you know, or talk about it, discuss it, and then collect it. I always graded mine because they knew that they were accountable for it. I gave them 10 points. So if they, you know, so I would, but at the same time, that was an informal way for me to look at the writing, you know, that like somebody, I would notice things like, oh, I was literacy, English. So I would notice that they were not capitalizing their I, because that's what they do when they're texting, right? So I would do a mini lesson. Oh, by the way, everyone, I know in texting, we don't worry about this, but in our formal writing, that's informal, this one is formal. I want everybody to capitalize. In fact, tomorrow, I want you to get your highlighter and highlight all the I's that you have so that you can check that they're all capitalized, you know, things like that. Or I would work on, like, when you're writing, do not start the same way. You cannot say I, this, every sentence start with I or you or whatever. You know, you need to vary the beginning of your sentences. you should not have the same beginning. So I would have them to highlight all the beginning of their sentences so they can see that they're using something different. And if they are the same, then they need to rewrite that in order for it to be different. Because that is a good writing. Doesn't start with, I mean, we do that in elementary because we're still trying to teach them. But in high school, you should not be doing that anymore. Little things like that. So what other strategies that work for you? Because I just talked about strategies for beginning of the year. Now, by the way, the Facebook, I have loaded a lot of things in there. I don't know if you've noticed, but I just I could not sleep. I could not sleep last night. So you can see that different hours of the day, I'm just okay, so I would find some things and I would post it. And then this one thing that I posted after I read it, it triggered another thing. So I would look for that and I would post it and it triggered, it's like a domino thing in my head. But the nice thing about it is if you read them, those are really good strategies that work. Because for example, the 5 core propositions of National Board, for example, knowledge of students, knowledge of content, your assessment, your reflection, and collaboration. So those 5 things, and I posted that. Those 5 things, if you know them, if you are being interviewed and you touch on those, you touch on how you know about your students, you touch on how you know about your subject area, which is your strategies, or how you know about your assessment, which means you assess before, during, and after, not just after, but you have to do pre-assess, during assessment, and then after. And then you reflected. Did it work? What worked? What did not work? What should I do differently if I have to do this lesson again? I did this whenever the students were writing their journal at the end of the day. I was also getting my journal. I was also writing for myself. This one worked, this one did not work. Next time I need to do this or whatever. This one was really successful. I need to do it again. I would make me a note, and then those things I just go back as a reference for me. So I would just because I never had the same lesson plan for every year. I taught for 15 years and I was an administrator for about that long too. So but I was a teacher, my lesson plan was always different because I was always tweaking it. At the end of the day, I would always make me notes in my lesson plan, do this, for next year, do this or whatever, and then I also have my journal that I could go back to. And the nice thing about journal is that before a parent-teacher conference, I have this form that I make, their schedule, what, their highest grade, lowest grade, or whatever. I kind of make a note for every student. And then I pick this big old area that I put something about the student. I go back to my notes. Because in my notes at the end of the day, I would say so-and-so was really, good today, or was improving today, or I really brag on so-and-so. I would, put all these notes. So I would go back to my journal and I would write this little cute things up for the parents. So they love it because it's so specific, and I actually, every person has a different comment from me and they get to keep this, so they have this a little reminder about what their student did. And then I will do I call them sandwich method. So I would say something positive. Oh my gosh, I've really enjoyed your child because he does this, very helpful, very thoughtful, very kind. He might need to work, and here's my meat. He might need to work on, being organized because his desk was a mess. And your ADD kids, they're gonna have messy desks. So at the end of the day, I was okay, let's clean desk, let's organize. So you have to help them. But anyway, and then at the end, you say another positive. So you have your glow, your grow, and your glow. So so anyway, but you do that. Oh, they're gonna leave happy parents. They're so happy because I'm the teacher just bragged on my kid, But at the same time, you were able to tell them what are the things that they need to work on. And with my being a literacy teacher, I would always we did a lot of writing. I guess I was being Filipino, I was a slave driver. They wrote every day in different format. They were either writing letters, writing essays, writing persuasive, or writing to the editor, or writing to the president, or writing authentic letters. And then I put them in a book. I mean, we put it together like a book 1 for first quarter, book 2, and so on. So by the end of the year, they have 4 books. Book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4. And then they have their cover page, they have their dedication page, they have even a page for autographs. So people that read it, they would autograph it. And then they would have